Rocket Boys is back with season 2 on Sony Live, and just like the first season, the series has once again received tons of positive responses. There are many reasons why Rocket Boys stands out: the cinematography, the color grade, the dynamic aspect ratio, the production design. Basically, the treatment of the show is what segregates it from the plethora of stories that are being presented to us these days. And apart from the usual technical aspects, there is one more thing about Rocket Boys that caught my attention, and that is the opening credits. Since the advent of streaming platforms in India, opening credits have witnessed a rebirth in terms of getting noticed by both the storytellers and the viewers. In case of Rocket Boys, a lot of folks shared their appreciation for the opening credits on social media. And I myself was also captivated by the design language adopted for that entire sequence. But we cannot say the same for each and every one who watched the show, because probably they press that one button which acts as the kill switch for opening credits. One button that just skips an entire creative endeavor that plays a pivotal role in telling the story. When I saw people appreciating the title sequence of Rocket Boys, I was happy that there is still hope of reviving the deliberate choice to watch the opening credits. I felt that there are a good number of people who choose to not press that button and rather get ready to witness the story unfold by watching the credits first. And this number was even better a few years ago when we did not have streaming platforms and we had to rely only on our televisions and watch shows like
Instant khichdi ball.
If we fast forward to the era of streaming platforms, that excitement of watching the opening credits doesn't seem to resonate with everyone out there, and the credit for that goes to Netflix, who introduced the skip intro feature in August 2017 because they noticed that 15% of the time members were manually advancing the series within the first 5 minutes. As in, they wanted to skip the credits and jump right into the story. This made them believe that a lot of people wanted to skip the intro. And to their achievement, the skip intro button is pressed 136 million times, saving members an astonishing 195 years in cumulative time. And just like what happens in the world of marketing, every streaming platform began rolling out the option to skip credits, which, to be very honest, has become a matter of concern for folks like me. This YouTube channel has been my passion project, and I don't just intend to express my love for the greatness of this art form, but also try to bring videos that explain the reason behind the greatness of this art form. And just like cinematography, color grade, background score, exposition, acting performances, I feel that opening credits also deserve to be appreciated as much as everything else. Therefore, this video is my attempt at restoring the lost appreciation and love for the art of opening credits. This video is my humble submission to ditch the skip intro button and rejoice in those moments when the opening credits unravel the story. And to do that, we need to first answer the most obvious question. So when we say opening credits or end credits, what we are actually talking about is a title sequence. A title sequence acts like a gateway to give you a sneak peek into a world unknown with roads untraveled. And it builds excitement, anticipation, and in some cases, it acts like an overture to the story.
Actually, एक great actor वो होता है जो मंच पर सच्चाई से झूठ बोलता है, पर जो जिंदगी में सच्चाई के लिए झूठ बोलता है, वो होता है नौटंकी साला.
Every title sequence is meant to align with the overall mood and theme of the subject. When you look at the title sequence, it is the very first time when you get a taste of the emotions that you will experience from the story. It tells you how a storyteller wants the audience to engage with the story.
So we are Pratheek and Tina. We have a short storytelling house called Kokachi, based in Kochi. And we've been making title sequences, animated sequences for feature films since 2014. Done opening titles for around 25 films.
And web series.
Web series, yeah. Web series. And not just opening titles, animated sequences inside films too. starts with most of the time we get to see the film. Usually the production house or the director, they share us the film, either they send us the film as a password protected video link, or sometimes if the film is not ready to watch, they share us the script.
Like in the case of Rocket Boys, we were given the script for the entire 2 seasons actually.
And
Yeah.
also some things
Yeah,
share that
Yeah, I think we'd seen about 25 minutes of the first season from,
random scenes.
I think first and second season, but different parts from the entire, I think,
Just
yeah.
to get the color, the mood of the
No.
treatment.
I think Abhay, the director, when he came, he had to test the title sequence for Night Manager, because that's something he really liked. And then I think he also liked Alienist. Also, by that time, we had actually finished Turumugam. So we showed him the title thing for Turumugam, and he really loved what we did that. And then, so I think we pitched like a lot of ideas to them, at least 3 or 4 or 5 ideas that he could have, and we had like different kinds of treatments that we had in mind.
The initial concepts we pitched to Abhay and Nikhil was can be done in the 3D space, like mostly with atoms. And
Yeah, I think we were going very clinically there. Like we're trying to look at atoms and molecules. And we had a lot more bent towards the science of it and the technological breakthrough of what the atom is. And we were very focused on the atom.
But then Abhay said, no, we need to show Vikram
people,
Sarabhai
yeah.
and Baba, their vision. But initially he wanted to show Nehru, Indira Gandhi,
Like all the characters, I think. I think.
everybody. He wanted to show everybody, and we like, no, we can't show. We need to stick to either war, bomb.
You only have limited time to show a lot of things. But I mean, when we were looking at a very, I think, technical technology and the atom as a focus, Abhay wanted the human story to come out, because that's what you want people to see. And that's what drives us as story. When you look at a story, I mean, how much of a technical wizardry is there? You really it's the people that basically, connect you. Like, I think, so even Rocket Boys, as soon as the bomb is a final, that's the final goal. It's their stories that basically is driving the series forward. So he wanted us to bring a more human approach to the series. Yeah, we had actually had a very elaborate war sequence which we had to cut down because there was no time to do it within the deadlines that they had. Like we had done the both in the animatics and even done the color script for it, but then eventually we had to drop it out. But like the things like, for example, like Abhay wanted us to show, how Homi Baba's initial idea to, I think, Ratan Tata, I think the Tatas was basically, create electricity out of the atomic bomb. That's what we use in the title sequence. So, and that's like a throwaway thing. That's his one line in the entire show.
So I don't know how much people can connect
Yeah.
that afterwards. You see this, like, these houses get split
Lit
up.
up. So that was the idea that he pitches to Tata in that presentation that he makes, that this is what he's going to do. And it's like a throwaway line. I mean, like nobody will remember that even. So then we integrated that with the war sequence. It's like we had to redraw the planes and then we bomb it.
But to do maximum frames, we had to layer. This is why the frames are layered.
Yeah, you're telling 2 or 3 stories at the same time. Like when you start off, you basically are showing the Cambridge and then you go to IIC. And then you have Mrinalini appear and the Blue Lotus. So you're using like small elements from the show itself as visual cues inside. In the sequence, for example, when you have Homi Baba looking down at through the microscope, you still have Pipsi's character coming from here, and then you have the car moving, and you have the lab technicians there. And so we were trying to layer as many visuals from the series and the story as possible to create that dense kind of effect.
But how exactly do you experience all of this? How exactly do you convey a particular emotion from a group of words that appear before or after the story unfolds? To understand this, we need to break down and understand the architecture of a title sequence. When you look at a title sequence, what you are really looking at is an amalgamation of music and typography, which is the overall aesthetic of the title sequence. Typography is the art of arranging letters and text in a way that the result evokes an emotional response. You will see numerous examples of typography everywhere around you. Your favorite movies, TV shows, brands, and even the names of your favorite restaurants follow a certain typography that segregates them from the rest and makes you remember them better. And the kind of typographic choices that you see now in your favorite movies and TV shows have witnessed both a creative and technical evolution over decades in our country. To understand the evolution of title sequences in India, we need to go back in time when there were just title cards. But since we are talking about a time when this technique to record the dialogue was not brought to life, title cards did more than just to introduce the title of the film. After the invention of the cinematograph by Lumiere brothers, the Europeans introduced India to cinema by organizing the first cinematograph film show in Mumbai on 7 July 1896. Then on 18th May 1912, the first movie, Shri Pundlik, was released in Bombay. But since this was just a video recording of a play, most film historians don't consider it the first feature film of India. Raja Harishchandra, Dada Saheb Phalke's magnum opus, was released on 21st April 1913 and is widely known as India's first feature film. Since this was a silent era, the title cards served as a means of conveying what happens in the story. Once the title card of the film appears in the beginning, intertitles were added throughout to help the audience understand the narrative and the dialogues, which means there were two kinds of intertitles, narrative and dialogue. But before the 1920s, the title cards were designed using white lettering on dark backgrounds. That is why they resembled the title pages of books. The text was written on a large sheet of plastic or paper by an illustrator, and then the sheet was recorded by the camera. In the 1920s, more and more illustrators were hired to create distinct letters and patterns that were used for creating the titles. Every letter was drawn by hand. Also, this was the era of filmmakers like Baburao Painter, who was conferred the title of Cinema Kesari. He was the director of Maya Bazaar, a film that has been remade almost 11 times now. This was also the decade of the very first adaptation of Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay's novella Devdas, directed by Naresh Mitra. The 1930s bid farewell to the silent era and Indian cinema was introduced to the world of talkies. Khan Bahadur Adarsher Irani's Alamara released in 1931, and it was widely regarded as India's first talkie film. In fact, a lot of talkie industries that were set up in Bombay and Calcutta began promoting Alamara and many other films with a punchline, all living, breathing, 100% talking to lure audiences into the theatres. So now, compared to the previous era of silent films, title cards matured into title sequences and started appearing on the top of either film footage or still photographs. The hand-drawn text was added on the top of those images with the help of different in-camera techniques like superimposing, optical printing, double exposure, bypacking, and matte work. These images help the audience to get a visual introduction of the world in which the story was based. We also started witnessing the very first use of the dissolve transition during the title sequence. Plus, there was no need for intertitles in these films. The moving images or footage from the film were used as a means of foreshadowing what is going to happen in the film. For example, Franz Austin's 1936 reformist period film Achut Kanya opens with the titles displayed over various images of a little shrine at a railway station. The viewers discover through the film the woman for whom it was built and why it was built. In V. Shantaram's Amar Jyoti, released in 1936, the titles appear on the top of the footage that acts as a visual translation of the movie title. Another great example is Miss Frontier Mail, released in 1936, which not just included some scenes from the film in its title sequence, but also introduced the cast with both their names and photos. The 1940s marked the beginning of the golden age of Indian cinema because India witnessed the transition from black and white to color in this audiovisual art form of storytelling. The medium was firmly established as a massively popular form of regular entertainment. A lot of filmmakers started experimenting with the art of title sequences. Also, we started noticing the inclusion of some very creative footage to reveal the logo of the production house. Now, I agree that we are living in the age of technology where everything is possible, but honestly, I feel that the kind of work imagined and executed in camera by our creative artists at a time when they did not have computers or softwares at their disposal is commendable, to say the least. I mean, for once, if you decide to not skip those credits, your senses will rejuvenate with some marvelous works of art that laid the foundation of top-notch creativity and that can inspire generation of filmmakers. I understand that films outside India during these periods were way ahead of us, but we still cannot deny the sheer will of our Indian filmmakers who did everything that they could to bring something that was never seen before by an Indian viewer. That's why we have opening credits like the one in Elan released in 1947, in which every letter has been created like a block and then arranged in a systematic order. We have a single take shot of 1 minute 17 seconds to shoot this sequence. That's why we have the opening credits like the one in Sikandar released in 1941, in which the credits appear on a pile of papyrus that gets formed with a series of arrows shot by a character in the frame. There are many more such examples of creative wonders that represented the golden age of Indian cinema, which continued to propel the progress of title sequences. Rolling credits started appearing in films like Baiju Bawra. Devanand's Taxi Driver began with opening credits aligning exactly with the on-screen introduction of the characters. The credits in B.R. Chopra's Afsana were designed like a pages of a diary, and one of the most unique title sequences during the golden age was that of V. Shantaram's Navrang. It opens with a black and white image of the entrance to a mansion. The lamps on either side of the door flicker on and off with the credit information appearing and disappearing correspondingly. The titles appear in both Hindi and English in Art Deco typefaces. The director appears and gives a personal account of conceiving the film while undergoing treatment for his eyes. The black and white images are then cut to a color shot of pots dripping colors to form the title of the film. The rest of the film, including the expository text, is in color. This transition from black and white to color gave more creative freedom and possibilities to filmmakers in the 1970s and 80s. Title sequence designers played with aesthetics and typefaces to connect them better with the events of the film or the theme of the film. A common creative choice that was observed in title sequences was exposition, or establishing the location where the story takes place. The relationship between the director and the designer was gradually replacing the one between the design studios and the production companies. Mainstream Hindi cinema began to experiment with kitschy and bold visuals when it came to creating the title sequences. The results were ingenious and path-breaking like the ones used for Dawn or The Burning Train, but sometimes they were crude and offensive to some viewers, like the opening credits of Chashme Badur, designed by the father of Indian animation, Ram Mohan, which bears a visible influence of the post-modernist pop art movement. The sequence comprises popular imagery like those of products and celebrities. Ram Mohan was the genius behind numerous title sequences, especially during this time when the color film became a preferred medium of storytelling. Along with Ram Mohan, we had many maestros like Satyajit Ray, Ritvik Ghatak, Mrinal Sen, and Mani Kaul, who designed the title sequences of their films themselves. The typeface used for the title sequences for their films was like a visual representation of their story. Fun fact, Dada Saheb Phalke was actually the creative force behind introducing the art of stop motion, which is something that can be achieved today very easily by a regular smartphone user. In the year 1912, he made his film The Growth of a Pea Plant, for which he had to record 1 frame per day. Later in 1915, after a lot of struggle, he created stop motion using matchsticks and made a film called
Khadyanchi Mouse, or A Game of Matchsticks,
which officially marked the beginning of Indian animation. Those were the days of manual craftsmanship that laid the foundation of this art form to flourish in the future when title sequences became a thing of digital craftsmanship. And with the advancement of technology in the digital age, animation has become one of the primary methods for creating a title sequence.
I'm Jishnu Chatterjee. I've been working on title sequences for the last 3 years or so. I'm a motion designer, creative director, and I don't do a lot of graphic design, but that is also something that I can do. And I'm a 3D generalist as well. I have a specific interest in title design, and I love crafting visual narratives that say a lot with very less. That's always my goal. In terms of the process, the first thing we do is we do an information download. Now depending on what stage of the project we're brought in at, it can be in the pre-production stage, it can be at the production stage, but most often it's at the post-production stage where the show has been shot, it's probably been edited, there's some offline edits already out there which is being circulated, and where all the post stuff is going on, sound is being mixed, VFX is being done. That's when we're brought in, because by that time, that by the time a film or a show goes from script to shot footage, a lot changes. So by that time, even though filmmakers, show creators are more confident about what they have, and communication just gets easier. But that's not the only way that happens. In that stage, we kind of get all the either they have their offline cuts of their episodes or the movie or something, or sometimes we even just read scripts. What the showmaker, the film director, what kind of visual zone does he have in mind, and then we attach like our layer onto it, and like we interpret that in our life. So once we go through all the episodes, scripts, whatever we can understand about the show, we have like some kind of an understanding of what the show is, who the characters are, what the story is, what is the feel of it, what's the tone, all of these things. And based on that, we come up with a concept. For Scam, it was Jay Mehta, the co-director of Scam. We had a lot of discussions about what we want to do, and he told me he was like really into the Mad Men title sequence, which I also was. Like it's one of those iconic sequences that you just remember. I started doing some digging, and of course another thing we both shared fascination for was James Bond. The Bond title sequence, which is like one of the so much has been inspired. I mean, you could arguably say Mad Men is kind of an interpretation of the Bond falling man, So that falling man is something that stuck with both of us. It resonated with us, and we felt that it resonated with the show also. So there, the concept was very simple, and in hindsight, only we can simplify the concept. You can kind of condense it to a sentence, but when you're starting out, it doesn't happen that way. Like we have a very expansive, like a whole paragraph, which after making everything and after all the dust settles, then you realize, oh, that's what it was. So it's kind of ironic, but like at that point, we just wanted to show the journey of a man, who goes at the very top, like the rug is kind of pulled from under his feet and he falls to the depths again. And it's just the rise and fall of someone who got up there through illicit means or something. That's it. Like as a concept, there's not much to it. Like then came the treatment. Like we wanted to treat like fable, and so that is the concept stage. And we do some back and forth there. There's a lot of references that are shared, a lot of presentation decks, this that, and after that we get into, once that is locked, and we go stage by stage. Right, if one stage is not locked, there's no point in going to the other stage. So from that point onwards, like, of course, we don't have that bigger team because we don't need to do that much like work, like a Pixar film or something. Because we're not doing character animation or dialogues to that degree that we need entire different departments. But we still try to follow that kind of pipeline because it helps break things down. So the first thing we do is create a storyboard because there's nothing we can shoot, right? So we create storyboards, then we create animatics out of that, which is basically like we make the sequence before we make the sequence. And just using storyboards cut to sound, and that's what we get approvals on from the director or whatever creative team that's leading the project. And once everybody's good with that, then we start principal animation. So then it's like all grayscales. So again, like I'm sure you've seen the Pixar story and everything where they kind of talk about their process, right? Like that's what we also drew inspiration from. And you do everything in grayscales, then we get that again approved. So at every stage, we want to keep the client informed and keep them in the loop because you never want them to see something entirely different than what they were envisioning, because these guys made the entire show, right? So they have very, very active imaginations, and a lot of the times it's not even to like save us from doing extra effort, it's also to get their ideas, because in most cases the creative team are really helpful for us also because they've been on the project for like 2 or 3 years probably, so they know so much more about the subject matter than we ever will. So a lot of their feedback is like really valuable, and it's stuff that we wouldn't have thought of because we are not that deep into the subject matter as they are. So so we're in constant touch, and once the storyboard animatic is done, then we do the grayscales, and then we do the principal animation, and that's like a whole production stage for us, like a mini production stage. There, CG animation happens, then there's compositing, editing, then we're pretty much done.
You will find tons of variations used by filmmakers today to design the opening or end credits of their films. Animation is now accompanied by motion graphics and stylized illustrations that help in setting the mood of the story. These, along with the musical theme, complete the overall package for the audience. So while doing my research for this essay, I was constantly reminded of how times have changed in terms of the consumption of cinema. Previously, the audience cared about seeing their favorite superstars on the big screen who smashed the goons, took revenge on behalf of their mother, and finally fled with the lady of their dreams, right? But as we got exposed more and more to what goes behind the world of filmmaking, we started appreciating aspects like background score, editing, those massy elevated moments, and even color grading. We have started developing more expectations for how a film should begin, but somehow we still don't care about the true beginning of the film. We want the best stories to be told in the shortest duration. It is because these days film that is, let's say, 3 hours long, it's considered to be a very long film. That is a different discussion altogether, but what I am trying to say is that when it comes to the art of storytelling, the title sequence is as important as the story itself. So this was my humble submission and a humble request to each and every one of you watching this video to not skip the opening credits or the end credits, not skip the title sequences in general, so that the art form of creating a title sequence can be appreciated more and more. And I'm very thankful to Tina and Prateek from Studio Kokachi and Jishnu Chatterjee who were kind enough to participate in this video essay. And this is something that I have never done on this channel before. This is the first time that I'm attempting a topic like this, and yes, I was nervous. I was a little scared that I don't know if this video might reach to a lot of people, but you know what, then I thought let's just do it, because I really wanted to talk about this subject. I really wanted to do this on the channel, and if you have been watching this video till now, I'm extremely grateful to you for your patience, for your support. If you've liked the efforts put behind this video, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share the video with your friends so that they can also probably learn about the art of opening credits and how this art has evolved in the world of Indian cinema. Also, if you want to support this channel, you can hit the red subscribe button and press the bell icon to make sure that you don't miss any updates from Long Live Cinema. Till then, my name is Porush. Thank you so much for watching Long Live Cinema, and I will see you guys in the next one.